I made a villager breeder that doesn't break. Literally thousands of hours of testing to make sure it's just as reliable as possible. Lightning strikes aren't a problem. Food share loops, no problem. Endermen inside, it just can't happen. It's got good rates, a simple design, and a reasonable material list. The overall footprint is 15 by 18 by 7, with most of that being dedicated to protecting the farm from lightning strikes and endermen. The rates of all villager breeders vary based on how much you sleep, because villager breeders can't breed during the night. So based on your sleep schedule, this farm will get anywhere between 6 and 11 villagers an hour. Moving on to the material list for the design we're going to build today, it's mostly solid blocks. You could even replace the glass with more solid blocks, but I figured you'd like to see it working. The honey blocks can be replaced with solid blocks as well, but then you'll run into some carrot loss, which will hurt your villager rate slightly. And these carrots can be carrots or potatoes, it doesn't matter, but the carrots down here, along with the beetroot, wheat, and potatoes, are necessary to trade with your farmer to lock in his role. Lastly, lighting is lighting is lighting. These can be jack-o'-lanterns, sea lanterns, or glowstone. And one more thing. The lever and the piston here are for an optional on-off switch. Totally optional. To get started, choose a spot, place a bottom slab wherever you would like the center of the farmland to be, then add 4 blocks onto all sides of that bottom slab. This will create a 9x9 platform that we can use as the base of our farm. Don't worry about making these farmland just yet. We'll do that later after we add the water. And once you finish that 9x9 dirt platform, we're going to add a border to it. So take any solid block. If you're looking for something quick and dirty and cheap, cobblestone is just fine. And add a border around the entire outside of that 9x9 platform, making it 11x11. Then we're going to choose a side where you want your villagers to sit. I'm going to choose the back here. Then we're going to add 7 blocks of honey in this configuration. Then 2 fences, it doesn't matter what type of fence, but not walls on either side. Then 2 beds behind those fences. And the head position is important. Make sure you place them down like this. And then add a border around that villager area. Then add water into that slab and a composter on top of the water. Okay, so next we're going to be working on the walls of the farm. Remember that a lighting block is a lighting block is a lighting block. We talked about that earlier. So it doesn't matter if this is a jack-o'-lantern or a sea lantern or glowstone, whatever. So we're going to go light block and then 4 solid blocks up from that light block, obviously into each one of the 4 corners. And then we're also going to be going in where the villager containment area meets the dirt platform. Then at the very end, we're going to make a small little arch shape around that honey block that we placed earlier. Then we're going to start the roof, and this is 3 blocks up, so 2 blocks of airspace for our villagers to live and exist, and then it's just a solid section here, so we're just going to keep building this out, solid blocks everywhere. Now this could be glass as well, it doesn't really matter. The only thing that I would warn you about is to make sure that whatever you build these solid blocks out of, endermen cannot grab. Also, obviously, stuff that can't be lit on fire in case there's a lightning strike. Oh, also, don't forget about that jack-o'-lantern or lighting block on top of your composter. And let's just fast forward this part. Once you've got that done, we're going to spin around to the back of the farm and we're going to add the 9 trap doors. So first, 1 in that little archway that we placed earlier. Then 1 directly above the 2 fences on the left side, and then 2 more in between that. That second pair should be above the honey blocks. Then we'll repeat the same thing on the other side, 2 directly above the fences, 2 directly above the honey blocks, and then when you open them, make sure that you position them from the beds, so that way they open in this configuration. Next, we're going to be adding some more of the walls. So I've got some glass here, and I'm going to be filling in the outside of the farm on that border that we added around the dirt slab. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be glass. It could be any solid block. But if you use a solid block, then you're going to have to Oh, hey, real quick. You might consider leaving the center section right here open to add villagers later. We're going to have to break that. It's whatever. Anyway, if you opt to use solid blocks instead of glass, you might have to move your lighting a little bit in order to make sure that the inside of your farm is lit enough. Anyway, then we're going to come on top of the roof, and then we're just filling this thing in. It is just going to be solid blocks all the way through. Now, you're probably asking yourself, Nims, that's so many solid blocks. Why do I need this many solid blocks? And that's a great question. So it has to go as low as it does in order to prevent endermen from teleporting inside of your farm. That would just be really annoying, right? And it has to go as tall as it is because this is the height required to prevent lightning strikes from turning your villagers into witches. It's a really obscure mechanic. A lot of people kind of forget about it, but you need to go this tall in order to prevent your villagers from being converted into witches if lightning strikes. So just make this all solid blocks and you'll be good to go. Again, note that these should not be made out of anything an enderman could grab or something that would burn. And I'm sure that you feel like this is a lot, but really, I made the claim at the beginning of the video that this is a villager breeder that doesn't break. Other designs aren't taking the necessary steps to protect your villagers from lightning strikes, converting your villagers into witches, or endermen getting in the farm. Now, the endermen can't grab farmland. That's not possible. But what they can do is they can get in the way of your farmer villager and then prevent him from being able to drop his carrots off to your breeders, thus slowing down the farm. And if lightning strikes happen, then your farm is just forever broken. And that sucks. And that's why this is the best dang farm, and you should like it and share it and, do those things. Anyway, next we're going to be adding the roof. We're going to give this 2 blocks of overhang. So we're going to go 1 block into each of the corners and then 2 blocks out and then 2 blocks out again. So this is 5 total blocks and a diagonal in order to create the overhang that we need. Again, I'm sure you're asking yourself, Nims, why do I need this overhang? And again, it's to stop lightning strikes from turning your villagers into witches. So now that we've got it as tall as it needs to be, what if lightning were to strike the ground immediately adjacent to, the glass wall? Well, what would then happen is if the villager is, say, against that glass wall, but on the inside of the farm, he'd turn into a witch, and that's it, your farm breaks. And then, of course, very standard here, we're going to be placing bottom slabs on the roof of the farm, just filling in that entire space in order to prevent monsters from spawning up here. The worst thing that could happen is, you come back, flying in on your elytra, land on top of the farm to check on it, and there's a creeper up there, and it explodes and just blows a hole in the roof of your farm. That would suck. And so by putting down these slabs on the roof of the farm, not only are you protecting it against lightning strikes, but you're also preventing mobs from spawning. And we're going to do what I believe is our last little fast forward montage here. Cool, and with that being done, let's do a quick flyby. Make sure that you pause the video at any point if this looks different than what you've made in your world. Next, we're going to break into the farm, and we're going to turn, like I promised you earlier, we're going to turn all that dirt into proper farmland that your villagers could then plant either their potatoes or carrots on in order to then give to, the starving breeders in order to then make your babies. God, that sentence alone is going to get this video demonetized. If you haven't already, consider supporting me on Patreon. Anyway, we missed some glass here earlier, so we're going to add 6 more glass blocks in order to separate those beds from this farmland area, both sides, so a total of 12 pieces of glass. And then we ourselves are going to jumpstart the farm by taking all those carrots that we had earlier, and we're going to plant them down so that way our villager doesn't need to, and it's just so much quicker and faster when you first turn it on, so that way you get your babies even sooner. You're building this to get villagers. You want them quickly, right? That's what we're here to do. Next, I've got a little bit already set up. We've got our villager and a minecart on some rails that lead into the farm, a 1x2 gap with a trap door at the top of it. We push our villager in, and that trapdoor prevents him from being able to walk out. If it's between, his work hours, he'll quickly grab his profession, and then you can open up trade with him, and those 4 foods that you had earlier, beetroot, carrots, wheat, potatoes, you'll trade one of them with him, and that locks in his role, so he'll never not be a farmer, and then this is set up, so then you can walk out, destroy your rail, rebuild the glass, and you are set. Next, we're going to add the breeders to the farm. This is easiest to do at nighttime. Just make sure there are no zombies nearby. As soon as you get these 2 villagers close, they'll see those beds and just walk in on their own. This is so freaking easy. You might have to nudge them a little bit because you're going to have to replace that glass, right? So give them a good old bonk and you're good to go. There's your 2 breeders. Next, we're going to build a, trench in order to get the baby villagers out. So in the same spot where the 2 breeders are standing, we're going to dig, I guess this would be 4 blocks down, so that way we're 1 block under the farm. And then we're going to build this, 2x3 trench that goes right underneath it. We want our beds, we want to see the beds, and we want them to be floating above us. You know, just like beds do in real life. Anyway, we're going to continue to dig until we are just under the further fences. And then this is really simple. We're just going to add water, and this will carry our baby villagers out. And then you can just trail this water wherever you want to go. I'm just going to dump them in lava because I'm sadistic like that. And it's your farm. You could dump them in lava too. Minecraft's a free, crazy world. You can do whatever you want. Lastly, we're going to add that on-off switch that I told you about earlier. This is super duper simple. We're going to come to the back left of the farm above the head of the outside bed. We're going to add a sticky piston. Break those blocks, then add the sticky piston, then put a block above it, and you're good. And then a lever on top of it. When you pull that lever, it should extend, and then the block in front of the sticky piston should be blocking the head of the bed. This takes your total number of beds from 4 to 3, and that's not enough beds to breed, so they don't. Easy. Before I show you how to use the farm, I think at this point you understand why I'm so proud of it, and why I think it's the best dang villager breeder you'll ever use. If you agree with me, maybe consider supporting me on Patreon. We have a $5 tier which gets you into the Discord community and all the hidden behind the scenes channels there. A $10 tier which gets you into the Nims Minecraft server, soon to be reset for 1.18, so this is a great time to join. And a $15 tier which gets you access to a Google Drive full of every world download I've ever made, including the one for this villager breeder. Anyway, to use the farm, well, it's done. You've just got to give it time to work. Time for the carrots to grow, time for the farmer to harvest, and time for the farmer to share that harvest with the breeders. Once that's all met, you should expect a new baby villager every 5 minutes or so during the day. Easy. And that's going to be all from me today. Thank you for watching the video and supporting me on Patreon. This has been Nims Toots, and hopefully it didn't stink.